Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Alright, we're going to continue this. Last one crashed. I'm not sure why it crashed. Sort of locked up on moving around and maybe trying to select one of the options in a vent. And so, but for some reason the autosave didn't work. It was just before. So I replayed basically the month of November. Basically the same outcomes. So nothing really much changed. So we'll continue from here. So yes, we'll accept the order. Yes, we want another Commerce Raider. Okay, the 348th Infantry Division BOD was formed in October 42 and served as Occupation and Security Coastal Defense Unit in France. It fought in Normandy and was destroyed while withdrawing through northern France and Belgium. The division was disbanded in September 44. Yes, we want to prepare our defenses. The 343rd Infantry Division was formed in October 42 at Truppen Übungsplatz Grafenhor. It was destroyed in Brest in September 44. Okay. And no. Another repeat and no. But yes, we want to have some of these North African units. The 334th Infantry Division was created in November 42. It was unusual because its 3 regiments were raised in 3 different military districts, wear crest, because it composed a mix of 2 infantry regiment and 1 mountain regiment, the 756th Mountain Infantry Regiment. It was promptly dispatched to Tunisia, where it was subordinated to the 5th Panzer Army. In an attempt to reverse the Axis fortunes in North Africa. It was isolated and surrendered with a Vichy unit, the Legion Impériale, to the British several days before the General Axis surrendered in Tunisia. The division was reconstituted in France in 43 with elements of the 80th Infantry Division. Then, in the process of being formed, the component 756th Regiment was reconstituted as infantry rather than mountain troops. The division was transferred to Italy in late 43 and fought there until the end of the war, taking heavy casualties throughout the period and eventually surrendering to the Americans. Cool. Cool. That division is here. Let's give it a commander, somebody suitable. Not a Luftwaffe commander. If it had Luftwaffe troops, I would consider that. Units, or whatever you want to call them. Cold weather, but I don't know if we're going to be really sending that north. This guy's earned a bunch. Up. Yeah, he'd be cool to have. And let's go give those other fortress divisions commanders as well. Now these just sort of level 3 defensive guys could be fairly suitable. And well, not that they wouldn't necessarily, they would if there's a, counterattacking a province next to them, but they're not going to be part of any major offensive army. The Italians are slowly losing here. Looks like the British are not attacking as much as well. I don't know, maybe they are attacking. Oh, that got gone down. Yeah, I think they're taking here. I wish we could hover over or see whatever our allies were doing a little bit more. I know to select it means we get to control it, and that's a little too much, but sometimes I like to see how well some of these other combats are doing. And they did reinforce into here with the Brazilians, but we're driving them back. Okay, Japan enforced conquer in Burma. Cool. And we've won here. Cool. Payment received. Payment received. Now I know I talked about this in the alt series, and many of you are watching both, but I'll go over quickly the the 18th SS Free Willen Panzergrenadier Division Horst Wessel. In short, it was from the formed around the cadre of the 1st SS Infantry Brigade, motorized and included many Hungarian Volksdeutsch. It was used for anti-partisan duties until being sent to the Eastern Front. It later fought in Hungary and Czechoslovakia, where it was eventually destroyed. The division was named after SA Sturmabteilung hero Horst Wessel, a German Nazi known for being the author of the lyrics of the song Die Fahne. I think that's the flag high, or the high flag, or I don't know, the Horst Wessel lid. And for being glorified by the Nazi regime as the martyr in the early years of the Nazi Party. Like another one after in 36, another Nazi was martyr was Wilhelm Gustloff. They both got vessels named after them. Now, as I said before, not as a combat formation, but as a recruiting. It was designed to be hey, everybody, in the SA, join up with your fellow Nazis in the SS and get to the front and fighting. There was, as we maybe seen a little bit, I haven't gone into too much, the Field Herrenhalle Division was an attempt by the later SA leader after Lutz died. Victor Lutz died in a car accident. Driving too fast on the road, I believe. And I forget, I want to say Oppenheimer, but he's the guy that, created the atomic bomb. But somebody, I think by that name, I'm missing out, another SA leader, took over the SA. And Lutz was a yes man for Hitler and really let the SA atrophied and not do a whole lot of stuff. The replacement guy, if somebody wants to look that up and post a link down below, they very well may, really tried to reinvigorate the SA, because they saw it as being a very powerful, or he did, and useful force post-war Germany. So to sort of get back this sort of status as a mass movement, as opposed to where like the SS was designed to be an elite element within the Nazi movement. The SA was seen as sort of a mass movement, but still an ideological vanguard, if you will, of National Socialism. And he knew to do so, you needed to have a significant war record, to sort of be in the post-war world proud. So the Field Herrenhalle Division was coming off of the Field Herrenhalle monument where the SA guarded and all that stuff, and some of the elite units. And maybe we can show some of that. This Victor Lutz is, I'm sure, still in charge here. We haven't killed them off or anything. Yeah, Victor Lutz. Don't know if I would recognize who. But you see here that Field Herrenhalle Dendart. They recruited that in the army and sort of got that as a function after Lutz died. Now, the SS was always hurting for manpower. They had very high attrition rates and other things, and they were to some degree limited. But as the war goes on, some of the limits are taken off. But basically, they had a miserable, basically failed in recruiting SA men for the Horst Wessel division because of the SA never really liked the SS, even when the SS was firmly part of it, and once it was separate in its own unit, and then later was the main instrument in the Night of the Long Knives and killing Ernst Röhm, which a lot of the SA insiders knew that Rome was not planning a coup against Hitler, because he was not. That was mostly bad information pushed up to Hitler. Now, Rome was pushing for a more socialist, national socialist revolution. Rome was very much a nationalist. He was not an international socialist, but he was, and in no way am I trying to say he was a communist, but he was a leveler. If you know anything about levelers in England, you may sort of know what I mean. He wanted to level out society a lot more. He was very much of an anti-aristocratic type person, very much anti the Prussian tradition within the army. He basically hated them, loathed them, and sort of wanted to continue the second National Socialist Revolution after they got in power. And he was going to leverage the SA to sort of do that, to press within the party structure and system. But I don't think he was ever even conceiving of overthrowing, having a coup against Hitler. He might have at some point, if it sort of got to it, did a coup against, not Hitler and Hess, but a coup against maybe the SS, maybe against some of the more elitist elements within them, and sort of present Hitler with a fait accompli. But he was never going to get, and I don't even think he was going to do that, but I don't know what he would have done. There was definitely friction there. So, and a lot of the SA sort of knew this. They couldn't say it publicly, but they could talk about it quietly. So they just never liked the SS, and so this was a failure at recruiting, trying to do this, and that's why the Volksdeutsch, the Germans from Hungary, were a large element of who was recruited into this, because it was a failure. So SS Brigade Schmutt, talked about this in the other version. The brigade was formed in November 42 from the 7th Watch Battalion of the Leibstandarte SS Adolf Hitler, a unit normally stationed in Berlin on guard duty and public duties. The 1st Battalion of the Prinziger Regiment Der Führer, Das Reich, and some Polizei. So, and we also have some Luftwaffe units from Field Battalion 100. So yes, good, we'll take that. For some reason this is only now finally breaking up. 15th. Okay, the 347th Infantry Division was formed in October 42, served on as an occupational coastal defense unit in the Netherlands after suffering heavy losses in 44. During its withdrawal through northern France and Belgium, the division reformed the following month. So yes, we will take that. The 344th, September 40, France. These are all the same, basically, but destroyed in Normandy, August 44, and reformed from a Kampf group originally earmarked to rebuild the 91st Infantry Division. Surrendered to Soviet forces south of Berlin in May 45. Yes. No. Okay. We didn't read these over in the alt version because I wanted to read them here, where we're actually going to more likely use them. Division von Bruch. Division von Bruch was a German provisional infantry division active in 42-43 in North Africa. It was created on the 15th of November 1942 by renaming the Schützenbrigade, Rifle Brigade von Bruch, a provisional unit formed from the Ortskommandeur to 960th on the 10th of November, specifically for command and control of mischievous units flown in by the Germans to defeat the Barits and Tunis bridgeheads to defend, not defeat, defend the Barits and Tunisian bridgeheads in Tunisia. Although it was never given a formal organizational structure, it was quickly organized along the lines of a standard infantry division, but composed of a variety of German Fallschirmjäger parachute units, Tunis field battalions, and African march replacement battalions, as well as an Italian regiment. Virtually all of its artillery and logistics had to be improvised using a variety of German, Italian, and captured Allied equipment. Although it was makeshift force, in all respects, it quickly proved itself to be a capable force, especially in the hands of its highly talented commanders, scoring impressive German defensive victories at Matur, Jebeda, Mejez el Bab, and Sebjenan in November and December 42. One of its regiments, Fallschirmjäger Regiment Berenthian, was called perhaps the best German troops in Africa by none other than General Sir Harold Alexander. General, I know he's Sir. I'm just putting that in, I guess. Heard it enough. Commander of the Allied 18th Army Group in 7 February 1943. The division was renamed Division von Manfeld after its new commander. Okay, so we can do that or not. Yes, we will take that. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, we need... Oh, we lost Den Huber from here. Well, I don't know how much longer this is, so we'll just leave this and not assign a new commander and get it messed up. Because at some point we're going to hit that and upgrade it anyways. And the SS did shift the commanders around a bit like that, for sure. Okay, and there we go. Well, let's send him over here. I got a couple motorized battalions. Don't know if we'll attach them to somebody or just keep them that way. They're still useful that way, but we will see. Okay, and just your basic sort of level 3 defensive general, that will do. And another level 3 defensive general. And okay, we have this guy in here, Panzer Leader. Good. Cool. We need to get some units in there to use them for our upcoming invasion of probably South America or something. We give them fuel for money. Okay, sure. Spiritually, you need some fuel. You have one province left here with one unit who just died, and you lost all your provinces up here. Yes, as we know, I could have saved that if I so chose. We chose to let the Italians die. Because I want to do the D-Day. I want to defend against the D-Day Atlantics just to see how that goes. Good. Okay, another request for Romania. Sure, Romania, you can have some stuff. Yes, we want the more HQs and the 245th Infantry Division. Yes, we will take that. And we already said yes. We asked for it, so we got a second occupation course. Took over occupation duty. Fall. To replace German forces in critical areas where the Greek partisan movement was active. It remained there until Bulgaria changed alliances in summer 44 and declared war on the German Reich. Okay. And Fug 404 Jägerschloss. Fug 404 Jägerschloss was the designation of a German early warning and battle control radar developed just prior to the start of World War II. Although it was built in limited numbers, the Jägerschloss was historically important as the first radar system to feature a plane position indicator display. In Germany, this type of display was referred to as panorama, which in American speak, that's a type of movie projection that's super wide that they created back in the late 50s, I believe it was, to compete with television, which was a square picture. There's a reason to go to the movies instead of just watching things at home. Jägerschloss, we get radar bonuses and that. Okay, cool. Now, Heeresgruppe Africa. Remove. No, we don't want that. We don't need that cool picture though, but we don't need that now. Got these guys here, cool. Let's attach them to here for now. Okay. There may be some events planned to do some more revolts and another defensive general here. Yeah. Fine Tider, man. Okay, well, we've crushed this little pocket of Brazil's expedition against us. No hard feelings, Brazil, but we just gotta crush you. We don't need you hanging out way deep, so let's move you to there. Okay, you guys are at least sitting in a port. I've created a bunch of tropical island garrison divisions, which should have better defensive abilities either in the tropics or deserts or wherever. I didn't quite look at all the details. Better than regular garrisons. Some of them, these are specifically for the islands, like Ascension and St. Helena. And B, they got the garrison regiment, which is alright. And then it has rocket artillery, which are the cheapest sort of artillery to make, but they use it more supplies once you're in combat. And then AA. AA is good because it has high piercing. Now, it doesn't have high heart attack. Heart attack kills tanks and such. Soft attack kills infantry and other soft units. But it's the piercing effect that if, as I presume most of you know, that if the armor is just one teeny little bit more armored than the piercing level that's attacking you, you only take half the damage of whatever heart attack you do have. So they get reasonably good piercing. Not as good as a proper anti-tank, but they, you know, if the allies are coming at me and they got some air power, you also have the air power defense. These are more for coastal provinces here because they have a police unit attached, so keep the revolt risk down in places like Africa and other places coastal. You maybe do some of that in Vichy territory as well. We've won the Battle of St. Louis. Cool. Okay, payment received. Payment received. Again, this I got to go in for the next version of this and fix all those. Okay, the 338th Infantry Division was formed in Truppen-Übungsplatz Walther Liger in 42 as a Kremheide division. It was largely destroyed in the retreat from southern France and refitted and reorganized in 44. The division was destroyed in the pocket in 45. Okay. The 99th or the 999th Lish Africa Division was the 99th Africa Brigade was a German army unit created in October 42 as a penal military unit. It was later expanded into the 99th Light Africa Division and began deploying to North Africa in early 43. However, it was interrupted by the surrender of the Axis forces in that theater. Those elements made it to Africa before the collapse fought as an independent unit rather than as a division and were lost in the general collapse. So, we got that. I don't know if that photo is from that, but penal unit. Which I personally sort of kind of find odd. Don't know how you feel about, you whoever's watching feel about that. Send all the misfits to a particular unit, and why do you think they'll fight well? That's the sort of thing. I don't know. Of course, we'll take the unit and let's see. Well, sort of wanted a nice. Well, they're not that well. They're all right of a unit, so let's go here. And these Africa Corps units are really cool. They work well in deserts, as you can well imagine. They have a negative effect in Arctic movement, and I sort of kind of get that. and why people might think that. Again, I get it, and it probably isn't, but you do know the desert out there gets really, really cold at night. So they're used to bundling up every night. And jungle movement, I don't know exactly how much worse than it is in some of the other sections, but sort of good to have, and I think we will make use of them in, like I went in the other episode talking about here. We do have deserts and other things, like if we come into Mexico and whatnot. So they will be useful to us. Okay, this is where the last real action is going on at the moment. Okay, we've got here, cool. Strategic bombardment tactics have advanced. Yes, I've sort of gone through this in the alt version. Cancel. Let's do assault weapons. Those are engineer assault weapons. Okay, well, you crush, you support crushing. They're going there, so we capture that police headquarters. That will turn it into our use to suppress these possible partisans. Yeah, this guy's cleaned up a lot. These trucks have driven around and occupied lots of territory. Police are still struggling to get across that river. I think we're just about cleaned up now. I've got these guys and I want to pick up and keep moving now. Okay, they've already done that. Got to there. Okay, let's look at revolt risk on that because there's a big stack of guys, police there. Let's leave the HQ and no, not EU, but no, EU there. So we'll take, well, make sure we get the right one, the middle one with 2 onto there, and we'll take the 5th Lish Division, load it up. And these guys aren't attached, and we'll take those guys as well. So these will stay here and guard sort of the port area. Oh, we also want to just detach them from where they are currently attached. We want to send these guys. Well, let's see, is there a particularly good province that we want to suppress? Not particularly, so we'll just send them up into here so that they will reduce revolt risk up in there. And if there's a revolt, be more ready to take out enemy. You guys will come into here. Rebase. We'll move the fighting division more up to the front now. Here, these guys are going to, let's go up to here. We're just cleaning up the last little bits. Well, they've run out of fuel, have they? Air supply. Somebody, Portugal, Vichy, somebody get damn supplies in the area so we can fly them there. Okay, you're battling the military police. Formation. You come over there. Your headquarters is too far. We're not there. Now, I also sent them over to here, and they're not there yet. Cool. We're gonna try an invasion somewhere in modern Indonesia, the Dutch East Indies. Okay, capital ship fire control has advanced. They had mechanical computers on the ships to be able to better calculate and target the enemy, including for anti-aircraft and gunnery. I'm not sure in detail exactly how they all worked, whether they were actually under the control of the computers, or whether the computers just related the pointing information, and then they the gunners knew where to point the guns and matched the information. I don't know, because one, I've watched a lot of, including historical war footage, and it certainly does look like, because I was reading about some cruisers, how the interwar period in the 30s, they flew some drones. The U.S. Navy flew drones at a bunch of ships, unarmed drones, but that you could shoot at, and they were just had miserable results at hitting anything, and they realized that their anti-aircraft guns just weren't going to cut it from what the expected heavy levels of attacks would be at these ships. Now, of course, what their expected heavy levels were a lot lighter than the actual levels of attack the ships did get. So they were just miserable at it. So as time went on, they improved mechanical computers, and these were big things that were sort of down in the hull of the ship, and attached more and more guns to its control to calculate, because leading an aircraft and dealing with all this stuff is pretty difficult. And so they didn't have electronic, computers like we're playing these games on, but they had mechanical ones. They, yes, used electricity, but it was all mechanically calculating. The calculator, look, they had registers back, well, more than in the late 19th century, and that's a calculator. You put in the, how much your 10 different items are, and it spits out a total. So that's a calculator. And then, of course, they had other, mechanical calculators for calculating things as well. You punch in 10 times 10, or obviously a more complicated equations, and it would give you the answers. So they had mechanical calculators, computers, that would compute the targeting for like incoming aircraft, and did miserably without it. And so that really helped target the aircraft. And so as time went on, they got better, and they were able to control more guns with them. And so each type of gun had to have its own settings, because a 20 millimeter has different ballistic settings than a 40 millimeter going out and to hit the same thing. But but to run a powered situation in which the gun actually points and aims all of the guns at once would be a lot. And I think that, and a lot of sort of power and pointing. So I think what they had, again, I don't know, but I think what they had is a readout that, sort of somehow indicated where they should be pointing that gun at. And then the gunner would just simply look down at the readout and try to, match up the lines or whatever on the two things to make them point, in direction and height, or whatever you want to say, azimuth and bearing, and get them to the right position, and then, press the fire button, and they fire and the loader's loaded. So I think that's how they mostly worked. So we will do that. And light cruiser main armament, and Indian infantry recruiting. A little bit more, so do light bombers too. And we're going to keep up Indian infantry recruiting. But that does open up. We already do have more colonial militia, but Indian Army units, small OOB of troops, okay. So now we're recruiting Indians. I think Germany would have had a reasonable chance at recruiting, somewhere between lying that they were going to, you know, help create a free India. We'll give them a bad leader, or unskilled leader, or whatever you want to call it. Not an SS guy. Because they, you know, could have said, oh yes, yes, just fight for us and we'll give you, you know, you'll get freedom at the end of the war. Which I don't think Hitler and the Nazis would have given them freedom. They might have given them puppet state status, but hell, they already had puppet state status under the Britain, because we see this here as I know a lot of you know, is India. But it looked actually sort of more like this in that, oh, this was an independent, truly an independent state. It had to sort of obey by the British rules, but it was Indian ruled. And then there would be another one over here, and then there would be another one over here, and then there were several major British districts, and some areas that were sort of joint district, and there were, well, in the company days, there were three different sort of, there was the Bombay sort of company-based area out. There was the Madras area sort of company out, and then there was the Calcutta-based East India Company that ruled this other section. So, but even that, once the British government took over from the East India Company, even that was still, if you will, lingering in different sort of statuses. And so it was already, you know, there were independent states. Now they couldn't, you know, they were sort of, they varied. Some probably would have been rightfully called puppet states. Others were pretty free so long as they weren't disrupting British rule in other places, I guess would be a good way to put it. At least that's how I would put it. And so they varied. And so there was a lot of those. And a lot of that basically came to the end when India declared its independence, got it, and there was some battles and some things and sort of forced occupation of some of these different Maharaja states. So since that was already sort of going on, how different, how much, you know, status they would get for themselves. Now Germany, I wouldn't say was, well, I don't know what Germany was in the long run would have done. They had their weird racial philosophies, and they saw Aryans, and there were Aryans in India. There are Indians that are very European bone structure, but are very dark, and so that aren't mixed Indian European mix of British occupation area, but they're Aryan tribes that moved into this region, and then there are very different tribal groups. It's a subcontinent, so there's all kinds of ethnic groups of people. But with the Nazis and their racial manias, we'll let this go for better engines. I don't know what they would have done, but I don't think it would have been really what Gandhi would have wanted, or even what Nehru would have wanted, or somebody like that. Now that you have, well, let's walk into there. Okay. We just had a more than just a rebel uprising. We've had a mass uprising with looks to be maybe OOBs and special HQs. Okay, well. Okay, well. Saying that too much, I'm sure. Police, okay. You stop here and let's see if you can attack there before they get organized. You stop that movement and attack there. Okay, we have... Oh, this garrison is going to get shattered, probably. Well, maybe not with the Indian Army. I don't know. Oh, you come up there to join that. And... you turn around that way. And you attack there. Okay, some action in India. Maybe these guys are, well, I don't know, maybe they're a bit more organized. Okay, well, we've got them here. They can attack. They can support the attack. Move these guys up here. One of these, oh, this is a good fighting headquarters, so we will head them up that way. Yeah, that's a pretty good unit. Especially for putting down an Indian army uprising. Okay, well, we've got these guys, 2 carrier air groups, and we've got a Marine division there, so we're going to rebase over to here. Because I'm thinking about doing some landings up here and taking some oil away from the British, and hopefully for my use. Since the Japanese haven't been able to take Borneo. And I'm hoping that will be strong enough too. Indian Army is mobilizing, okay. Okay, transport hulls have advanced. Be under transport. And 42, yeah, we will stop that. Police are fighting these troops here. Doing just fair, but they're doing. Okay, you guys come up in here and help them out. Okay, well, gotta learn not to say that too much. Since we're seeing what is happening in India, we'll be getting some Indian troops. There could be more of those. It could be a yearly sort of thing. Did we just get lots of those police units? Okay. Well, that'll be somewhat useful. I want a few more garrison units. We'll do it. Put some of these down in India, as well as other places. And I still want to build more air power. We're going to have to face a lot of air power over the US once we get there. They may very well have manpower limitations, but have plenty of ICs to build things like air power. Must be getting, well, maybe more of that, but much deeper. Come on. They're all under Rommel ultimately here. This desert war. You join in that fight. I think, yeah, you're just... Okay, commando training has advanced. That is good. And since we're still just in 38, we'll continue this. Oh, we've lost the Battle of Delhi. Because those units sucked because they weren't well manned, as it were. Well, I got a Royal Tank unit that popped in there. Okay, well. They may also be having supply problems too. Okay, how interesting. We'll check that out. Intel cache gathered by covert operatives. Mein Führer, we have discovered a rather curious cache of intelligence documents. Our cryptologists are poring over the documents now. Hopefully it will reveal something of interest and not be another ruse by the British or Americans. Okay. Well, let's see. Up to there. You march out and take all of these places. Occupation. Now let's take some of this maybe a little more seriously than we have been. And some of these armored units up this way. Mountain unit, that'll be helpful. Let's send them up there. You occupy that, you come over here, we'll attack across the Ganges, I believe that is. Naval strike tactics have improved, which helps out a little bit there. And we're going to let that go. Just distance, but the real thing is the naval strike efficiency helps. There's up. Bomb the enemy vessels better. I think we will also take this opportunity to end this episode. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoy it here and find many more good things. And of course, I also really want to hear from you. I love the diverse audience, and unlike modern sort of diversity, it really is a diverse audience in that you have a lot of different opinions from a lot of different parts of the world. That is very fascinating to me, and I really like hearing from you. So thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.